Change all your settings to the default. It's Uncle Says. Hello and welcome to Uncle Says. We're a weekly podcast discussion of making short films for YouTube, transmitting live to tape here in lovely whoopwu studios in Luzhou, Sichuan, China. I am your host, Emily, and with me in the background is Peter.
Also live to tape.
And we've got quite a show for you tonight. A word at the top of the hour. First, I'm not sure when this will be going up. We usually aim for Sunday night, Monday morning, but it is currently the National People's Congress in Beijing, and so our internet connection has been a little bit spotty. So I hope you're hearing this one day. But anyway, if you are hearing this, we've got a show in 5 segments. How's Your Uncle? In which we kind of let you in on our life. Conducting Business, where we talk about the logistics of running a YouTube channel and kind of the behind the scenes, what we consider the boring stuff, but in an interesting way. And then we'll take you through commentary, which is behind the scenes action on each of the videos we posted this week. Next up is Homeschool Film School, where we talk more generally about an aspect of filmmaking that Peter and I have learned about. This week we'll be talking about on-location filming. And then finally we bring it home with a watch it recommendation of media that we've enjoyed that we think you might enjoy too. So let's kick things off with a little How's Your Uncle? So, how's your uncle? My uncle's good. I just went back to school 2 weeks ago. We started the spring term, and this week I started teaching classes. Elective teachers don't teach the first week at my school. And Peter never teaches. But I just started teaching classes, and because it's kindergarten and our kindergartners in China are very young, they start at 2 years old, the kids are very much still shook up about having to go to school all day. There's still a lot of crying, and I miss mommy, and I miss grandma, I miss grandpa. They miss everybody. But there's 2 very funny moments happened this week. One was the principal was helping a kid, wander around. The kid was just sobbing and saying, I miss mommy. And the principal, not in a mean way, but she said back to the kid in Chinese, because they're speaking Chinese, she said, we all miss mommy. It's true. Which, it feels, if you're not annoyed by all this crying, which certainly happens too, it does feel like you're in the presence of a sad human and you'd like to make that better, but the way you make that better is by being calm and assuring them that mommy will come back or grandpa will come back to pick them up at the end of the school day. But now we're having school. But there's one more kid. So I had a class that was all my youngest kids. They're all new this term, and they are just not having it. I would say 2 out of the 20 of them were not crying. One of them wears his backpack and holds his milk thermos all day, so he is ready the second mom shows up. If mom shows up now, he's ready to go. He just does not take that backpack off, which is adorable and a little bit 可怜, as we say in Chinese, a little bit pitiful. Oh, pobrecito. That's 3 languages for you. So anyway, that's been a little bit stressful because it's not super fun to be around crying babies all the time, but they'll settle in. We'll all settle in, and it'll be okay. So there's that. So let's move on to conducting business. right, our business this week, we have a small one and a big one. The small one is we have another schedule change. We have decided to change our posting schedule to 2 days a week, down from 3. And this will be one previously posted video and one brand new video, one new vlog giraffe video. The reason for this being, coming up, we have some even bigger videos from the archives than we had done before, and we wanted to give those a space. We wanted to give them their half a week to find an audience and to breathe. They're some of our biggest projects. We're really excited about them. And so we thought they needed some space. And also,
they like clock in going from like, we started out with 2, 5, 8 minutes to now like 17, 20.
Yeah, and the other reason being that the big behind the scenes project we're working on has gotten even bigger. So we figured if we could buy ourselves 6 months of time instead of 3 months of time, we can use all the time we can get. So you won't unfortunately hear any details about that for at least half a year, but probably not for another year. But just know there's something coming. So that's our schedule change. We'll have a Wednesday video, a Saturday video. One's a new giraffe, one's a legacy from the archives video that we made last year. And then our big conducting business topic this week is that Peter made a new channel trailer for us. And so Peter, what's exactly the purpose of a channel trailer?
Basically, when you come onto somebody's home channel page on YouTube, you need something where if you were found in, you found a video, and let's say you find a video and suggest it along the side, recommended somewhere, somebody shares it, sends it to you, you like the video, you go to that person's channel, and they'll give you an array of all the videos that they have. So at the top, you have one video, which is basically like a trailer, like a movie trailer or a TV trailer, that describes in a very, as short as you possibly can, everything about what it is that you do, so that they can maybe decide whether they can subscribe to your channel or not.
Mm-hmm. And we've done a couple different trailers. Our first attempt at something that had that kind of information in it was the PBS, or as we in-house refer to it as PBS, the Keep Your Freaking Money
sort of.
Subscription pledge.
Not including that one, though, we have like about 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, but that was like the first one we did for that purpose, kind of, would you say?
Well, not really. Because
well, it doesn't.
Because that one's 10 minutes long.
Yeah, it doesn't quite fit because it's too long, but it was the first video we made that was like, here's what our channel is, rather than just a video of whatever.
Yeah, we made a theatrical experience out of it.
But, so we had other trailers, and some of them were kind of
just music or
edited together clips with music, or I like the one that you did with the 9 months video. That was like a small snippet from each video from the very beginning up to that point.
That was our last one that we've been using for a while, but then that one became dated as of the end of last year, so we needed to get something new up there. So we cut about a minute off from that one and fit in another like 20 videos.
Yeah, and so the main reason being that we wanted to include some of the giraffe work now that that's become kind of a main part of what our channel does. And I think you also tried to edit it in a way of like picking out sentences that
give a bigger scope as to what we do, you want to essentially dumb it down as fast as possible to like, if somebody finds your channel, they have no idea what you're about.
Yeah, it's your introduction.
Yeah, so you want to say I'm in China, I'm American, I live in China, this is what I do. Tune in every week for me to do this.
Some channels do make a whole video where I'm talking right to the camera. Hi, I'm Emily. This is our channel. And what Peter did was find equivalent introductory sentences from videos that we already had done. So it's still a collage piece.
But it introduces, hopefully, the gambit of the different kinds of what to expect if you were to see, or if you were to subscribe. Please subscribe.
Yeah. Please subscribe here and on Hello Foreigner.
And Western Toilet.
And Western Toilet. Western Toilet is our music channel. But yeah, so we made that new the trailer this week, and it's a lot of fun. You should go check it out.
Yeah, in less than a week, I guess. We don't know because the internet's down, but last we checked, we were just about at 100 views. So that's...
Oh, wow. When did you put it up?
Monday? It's Sunday now.
Okay. So in a week, it did about 100.
Yeah.
Which is... it's good for us.
Yeah.
And, we don't know how many people are actually looking at our channel page directly as opposed to just, like, finding us out in the ether somewhere. But it's something that's, like, if someone lands on your page and it's not there, that's a big problem. Because there's the deal with the internet is it is decentralized.
How does the internet deal?
I mean, the decentralization is its benefit, but it does also mean all information is kind of floating out there without any context. So this is your chance to give context to someone if they've come to your content.
As somebody who surfs around looking for new channels all the time to subscribe myself, it does take a while. If you find somebody that you like, you might want to check out like 5 or 6 other of their videos, and you still might not get what they're doing. Maybe you like some aspect of it, but you're like, I don't know if they're somebody that reviews maybe a product I like. I don't know if they do, whatever. Their clothes or their makeup.
Is this a food tasting channel? Is this what do they do?
And it sounds a lot easier than it actually is to decide what your channel is about. A lot of people will say, like, let's say I review makeup, but then you vlog about like what your significant other has done, and then another video you go back to makeup, but then another video you cook some vegetables, and then another video you talk to your mom, and then another video you're fixing your car, and then I have no idea what you're doing, so it's kind of hard to stay focused, and that's kind of what the trailer should do, is say, like, I do this one thing, come back here.
This is what your focus is. You can always count on me for this kind of content, because none of us is that personable that you're just looking like, what's that girl up to today?
What do you do when you sit around doing nothing?
What's every thought that crosses your mind? Tell me.
Oh, those are the popular channels, though.
But, I mean, they're sold on the basis of a personality.
Yeah.
And I don't want to...
Well, usually those kind of come along with... They're for younger people, and they're for, like, I shot a BB gun at my brother's butt, or I threw a turtle off a roof or something, like...
Right, so it's like, it's not no theme, it's
mayhem
as a theme.
Their theme is, I'm a jackass, and I'm being a jackass, like the show Jackass.
Yeah.
Those are the big popular
But it's not like, oh, here's a school day. Oh, I cooked a dinner. Oh, here's a short story I heard.
If you're entertaining enough,
some jokes.
You can be somebody who's maybe teaching you how to tile your bathroom and actually be a really personable person.
Right.
That it's fun to watch. Just like TV.
But I think that requires actual performance, I think, to carry it off long term.
Yeah.
Because I think otherwise you run the risk of, like we were talking about, a channel that Peter likes, that some of his fans like him in a mascot-y way of, like, maybe they don't respect him, but they're like, look at what that kid's doing.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's not necessarily a good...
They might be fans because they enjoy making fun of you. He looks weird, or this person is... And then you become a meme, and this is how the internet...
No one wants to be a meme.
If you're watching this on the internet, this is how the internet works.
But so anyway, the trailer says what your focus is, and if you don't have a focus, making that trailer can help you find your focus, and the focus is super important to keeping your work flowing.
And yeah, the part about putting it, so like if we got almost 100 views or so this week, it's not really something that you kind of promote out there as a new video. It's basically something that when people land on your channel, and your channel homepage, we kind of tend to think people don't go to the channel homepages, but the tutorial people that tell you how to make your YouTube pages say that they do. So that's
maybe on popular channels they do.
Yeah, maybe they do. I'm not sure. I don't see a lot of people putting a lot of work into their home channels, but the basic line is that it's your storefront. So if somebody comes into your store, that you want to see that there's product on the shelf and that they can identify what it is.
Yeah, and there's very little chance on this platform to give yourself any context. This is your chance to give context to what you're doing.
It could be your one shot,
Yeah.
whether somebody becomes a fan, a subscriber.
Yeah. Let's move on to commentary. So, we still put up 3 videos in the last week. We're moving to 2 next week, but we put up 3 last week. One about fishment. One is Taobao, shopping on Taobao and avoiding the scams. And then the
Field notes,
which was like it was a pretty big deal the first time around, and it's a big deal this time around. But let's talk about fishment, which is our brand new giraffe vlog of the week. Fishment is a disgusting plant that I hate, but sometimes it comes into your life anyway.
Don't spoil.
That's the gist. Go watch the video.
But we're finding our stride with the giraffe and sort of a weekly vlog of.
Yeah.
Now you have some segments.
I think fishment. We took that commentary last week. We talked about that the story was too slow, so we snappy story righted to the other segments that are a part of the giraffe vlog, and lots of action. Peter did a lot of, or some animation for this one.
Yep. A little bit. Well, there's a lot of graphics that go all along that are kind of animated, but actual animation.
But we have a talking fish.
We have the almost talking baby you giraffe.
Oh, that's right. We haven't had animation before.
So we've been incorporating it more and more, but it gives us the snappiness. It was still a 5-minute video.
Yeah. With 4 segments, so.
Yeah. So we're really trying to figure out what that pacing is of, like, get in there, get some fun information, get some fun graphics, some fun music, and get in and out.
But the animation I wanted to mention, because Peter does it, for the giraffe and for the fishment, you draw a sketch on an actual piece of paper.
Paper.
We scan that in, and then for the fish, you drew different mouth openings. Is that what you did?
I usually I did the same with the giraffe. I'll just alter the drawing in Photoshop. I'll draw different mouths and different eyes,
and just frame by frame replace the different parts that are moving with movement.
So you're doing
how animation works.
Yeah.
But there are, once you get bigger than that, aren't there programs?
Yeah, so you could actually like what we're
where you'd program in the movement, and it's not like you have to draw every frame.
Yeah, this is like old school. Like we're the closest thing to flipping a flip book of 6 drawings.
Yeah. Which I think is really neat.
But yeah, there's the next step is to actually take it into programs that will, you can start to do rotoscoping and all that.
Mm-hmm. But for now, we're as old school as you can get and still be digital. But I thought it was nice. And then so we had the fish character was voiced by
Fishman.
You. So Peter's creeping in more and more.
A little bit.
What was the other thing? Oh, and back to being snappy. Again, honing in on that nervous performance now means, because now it's on my mind to push it fast. That when we finish filming, I feel like we've filmed 20 seconds worth of video, but so far they are turning out to be around 5 minutes each week.
And it's neat too because the traditional style of a vlog is, based on a blog, based on a diary, and a lot of that is a place for you to, or whoever's vlogging, to sort of talk about their week and things that have happened, and a lot of it tends to get drawn out, and so you get like a 15-minute long story about how you maybe came across a dish that had fish mint in it, and then you tasted it, and then you didn't like it. So it's kind of fun to like figure out how in 5 minutes do we fit a fish mint story, a comment from somebody, and a couple other different like story segments that we do. And that is, you sit down in 5 minutes, and we just tape that, and then walk away from it. And I do all the effects to it, so it's rather than like, how do you tell a story in like, you've got 2.5 minutes, go.
Yeah. What's the least amount of detail that you can give and have it still have an arc and a story?
Yeah, we're gonna do as minimal cuts as possible.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah. So that was our giraffe this week. And then our middle video, 𝗣𝗵cie scam.
Another classic.
That was another one that I think we did it after a live stream.
Maybe.
Because I remember I was already like made up and we were at the computer and you're just like, no, just stay and I'll set up all these cameras and we'll do that one too. We'll do. Because we had talked about, so the story is, Taobao is an online shopping site in China, and generally it's safe, but there are a couple scams you have to be aware of. And so
we use it all the time. Yeah. Everyone uses it all the time.
Every week we have a Taobao recent purchase.
Foreigners use it. Chinese people use it. It's like if you go to our open front gate of our complex, there's just like towers of Taobao that is delivered every day to the complex.
But somehow we had like 6 cameras on that one.
Yeah, well, that was the fun part of it, was that we were going to figure out like how many cameras do we have in the house, whatever they are, from the computer to phones.
Yeah, and stylistically that was to capture this kind of like cybersecurity surveillance camera feeling, and we just like set them up all around me, and so Peter had fun figuring out the multicam on that.
Yeah, I think up to that point we were trying to figure out how to use multicam, just the logistics of like how do you edit in the program and stuff. So we're like, let's put all of them, all of the angles, and we can figure out how to jump from one shot to the next. And
I'll tell you, the key is slate that. If you don't slate it, usually most editors will try to automatically sync them up by the audio, but sometimes they mess up, or sometimes one camera doesn't have the right data. And especially if you have 6 cameras, I mean, that's a rare, pretty specific situation, but it's way easier to sync on a slate than it is to try to match up the words and my mouth movements in a shot. So
yeah, I didn't even know.
There's been more than one time that I've had to do it by hand. It's not uncommon that it fails. So if you want to do multicam, get a slate, or even just clap like that, but do something that has a visual and a sound.
Yeah, and you have to make sure that you're in each camera.
Yeah. If the camera misses the slate, then that's useless.
Don't just go slapping around the corner.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, you could compare the sound waves, but that's don't make your life harder. It's hard enough as it is.
No, it's like some kind of puzzle in a video game.
I know. Not a fun video game, but I'd play it. So that was basically Taobao. I mean, that was the thing. It was a kind of stylistic thing, and then a production exercise for Peter to figure out. And then that brings us to Field Notes, which is a story that was like a couple years in the making. It was based on a trip we took out into the countryside in 2014, I believe. And then at the time we kind of edited together a little music video, which was the first appearance of the Uncle Foreigner theme, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
which Peter had been working on since before we left America. He didn't know it yet that was the Uncle Foreigner thing, theme, but it was a riff that he'd been playing with for a while, and then so he put that song to images from our trip just up this little mountain that we lived nearby, and then to revisit it, to make it something more, I wrote kind of a personal essay about that experience and what it was like to go up into the countryside versus living in the city. And it was something, it was like a meaningful day, and then it was meaningful to revisit it, so it was...
Essentially, yeah, we blogged about it.
Yeah.
And we told the whole story, and we then put up a little music video for it, and kind of set it aside, and we're like, oh, that was a nice day.
Yeah.
And then years later, once getting into the video, we're like, this is a great story, let's put it together.
Yeah.
And try and, I mean, it's tough because we didn't shoot it for the idea of having it to be a long running piece with commentary. So that took a while to tape it all together into one coherent thing.
Yeah, I think we must have had to do... We did our standard at the time was that Peter would edit together the footage, and then I would write narration to go with it. So I think that was the order we did things in. And then I think I had to edit my voiceover a couple times to actually get the timing right, which was always difficult.
Well, we did many passes over it because I would do the visuals and then ask you to write something to it, and then I'd change the visuals to fit what you wrote, and then change your words because you're not even. It's not like you just sat down to a video and spoke over it.
Right.
It's all delicately composed.
And this is not really a workflow we do anymore because it's pretty labor intensive. But we were really proud of this story, and we wanted to get it right. And then also Peter had an idea for the sound of the narration to kind of have it be this...
the natural sound.
Yeah, whispery, quiet, like the wind is telling you a story. So the way we got that is I hung a bunch of blankets from our bunk bed, because we have a bunk bed in our second bedroom, and I made this like little sound deadened studio, because we don't have a real sound studio, and then just like whispered into a microphone, which is
why people that have looked it up more than a couple times have asked like if we do ASMR.
Yeah, because I have a good voice for that, I guess. But yeah, so there was some tricks we used for that video, and then it got a really good response. That was our first really big video, I think.
Yeah, the first time that hit, bigger than...
Big in terms of popularity and response from an audience.
Yeah.
And then this time around it is also doing quite well. So I think it is something that...
We had to press for the first time because we had absolutely no audience. Now we have a tiny, tiny bit of an audience, and we know how to pull it together. So it's been up for about 30 hours now or something.
Yeah.
But the internet's been down for half of that.
So we have no idea how it's done. Last time we
checked, it was somewhere around like 40, like last night or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think. But we already got... It did great for the minutes, so
people are watching
most of it.
The whole thing,
and
or
some
at
good
least
comments. Half. And we got picked up on whatever Walnut.
Oh yeah, some YouTube aggregator picked us up as part of their 10 videos of the day.
10 best videos of the day for Walnut.
Walnut.tv.
TV, whatever.
Which we're not sure what that is, but getting noticed is always nice.
Yeah, it's nice because it was in two handfuls of videos that were like, one was a short that had Alfred Molina in it, and like, I mean.
Yeah, it didn't look like spam. It looked like someone had chosen some interesting videos.
What this is, it's something where people have handpicked videos off the internet for that day, going, these are the best ones to watch.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, it's nice to actually
Cool.
somebody to pick it out and go like, this is a good one. Everyone watch it.
Yeah.
Now, if like everyone would share it that way,
Yeah. And
spread the word.
at the time last year when we posted it, it was like our swing for the fences video, and achieving that felt good. But then it also kind of pushed us. Not in a bad way. I think it's always good to like have ambition, but we kind of then started like taking bigger and bigger swings that were maybe not sustainable.
Well,
it's not the kind of video you could put out once a week. That's the kind of video that needs some production time.
We were also watching a lot of tutorials that were saying, I mean, it's still that way to some extent, but some people have backed off the amount of minutes a video should be. What you want is a longer watch time. So if you make a 15, a 20, a 30-minute video, people might watch 3 minutes of it as opposed to 30 seconds of it.
Right.
So we were like, okay, the obvious thing most people talk about is a 10-minute. Make it over 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then great if you can make it over 20 minutes. So we were looking at that and going like, all right, we got to make 15 and 20-minute videos.
Yeah, and it's no regrets. We did the things we did that got us here, but it did Field Notes. The success of Field Notes led us down a path that ended with biting off a little bit more than we could chew, but we'll get to that in future weeks.
Yeah.
For now, Field Notes.
Watch it on Walnut TV.
It's one of our favorite videos, I would think, still.
And it's also probably our most mainstream.
It's our mainstream and most personal. Like,
yeah.
A lot of times we're goofing around, and that's, nothing wrong with goofing around.
So hard to you can't make that every week. You can't make a special moment from your memory that.
Right, that was 3 years of memories and 8 years of artistic thinkings and 80 years of experience.
I think one of the things that people are, if you're encouraged on YouTube to make a video once a week or sometimes once a day, you're encouraged to make a beautiful, wonderful piece every day that is going to blow people's minds.
Well, yeah, if you have a success, then make more that are like that success.
Right.
Like, we can't do that every week.
Great. Every week I'll put out a piece of genius.
Which is now why we are taking this. We have this big project in mind, and so we're taking this time. We haven't put a time pressure of like, we got to get this done by next week, because we know from that experience, like, if you're you gotta give your work the time it needs to develop. So.
Yeah. And in the meantime, you can work on fun and less meaningful things, like social, dealing with commentary from your fans and little silly things that happen to you in your life. Like, not everything has to be. Yeah. But the thing is, on a weekly basis, we can still work on creativity of how do we tell stories and what kind of graphics we use or what we film.
Well, because the YouTube answer of like what's more important, quantity or quality, is both. Ideally, you'd put out a ton of really good stuff every week, and that's just not possible.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at the history of TV and movies, no one can follow that.
Yeah.
Ask Martin Scorsese to come out with a wonderful piece of work every movie he's done, and I'm sure you can point to a couple that you're just like, I didn't really like that movie. And
we're just like Martin Scorsese.
Yes.
So leave us alone.
Every week, more Scorsese coming at you.
So let's go on to Homeschool Film School. So we're inspired by the experience of filming Field Notes to talk about some different kinds of on-location filming that we've done. And so there's kind of different categories depending on what you want. There's the ever talked about B-roll, which, I'm so upset. Most people on YouTube use this term that's actually a real term, filmmaking term, just to mean like junk you put on when you need to change the shot. That's like background shots. But it really should be background shots that bolster the main A story that you're telling, and just like maybe it's something that's happening in the background of the place that you're in, or maybe it's a different angle.
Or sometimes it has nothing to do. I mean, if you're really good at it, it will always mean something to your A story. But I mean, at some points, if you want to have really fun with it, if you're like, I'm doing a video about a bird, and then you show a Coke can as your B-reel, like...
Yeah, but I mean, technically, B-reel would be Anthony Bourdain's in a restaurant having an interview. That's the A roll. And then the B-roll would be shots of the hot sauce that are on the table, or shots of the diners in the restaurant. It's like, it's not just random
creating an
cutaways.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, and B-roll is probably shot on a different day. Anthony Bourdain's not there for when they're shooting the B-roll, but it would be like, it enhances the environment of the shoot that you're in. It's not just random shots, which is sometimes...
Unless you're being silly or you're not very good.
Sometimes how it's used. But so, anyway, B-roll should be pretty planned out to fit the content of your A-roll.
You're an A-roll.
That's it. So that's fairly simple, but it annoys me that this is... Okay. But really, the different categories of filming I wanted to talk about is, for us, when we've done gathering stories by going out and filming stuff with no plan, just to see what we can get, versus having a story and going out to get specific shots. And we still kind of use both.
Yeah.
I like for our... Are there any in the Nows up? There might be in like the Christmas.
Oh yeah, in the Christmas one, way back at the beginning of our...
Yeah, so, and then now is a segment where it just is like little slices of life of Luzhou, 5-second segments that are put together in a minute to put you in the environment of...
10-minute seconds.
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
10 seconds for a minute?
For 1 minute, yeah, that's right. Something like that.
That's just 6 shots then.
I forget what it is, but...
Whatever the timing is. It's just quick cuts of places around Luzhou. And the way that I would get those shots is usually on my walk to and from school, I would designate Monday and Tuesday as my days pretty much along that same route. Sometimes I would take a detour. Sometimes I'd go a block in the other direction and just plop my camera down, see what happens in front of it. And it would be gold every time. No, I would bring it back to Peter, and then Peter would find the best moment out of it and stitch that together into...
It's the equivalent of people watching. If you just sit on a bench,
yeah,
eventually at some point there's going to be a certain handful of people that are going to walk by and do something funny, because that's what humans do.
Yeah.
So if you're setting a trap, just like a park bench with a camera, then you can capture... I'd be sitting through 10 minutes of footage waiting for like one funny kid to walk by with a funny cowlick.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one. But it's kind of worth it, at least as an experiment. But
yeah.
If once you get down to the editing, it's a lot of editing to do, but it's worth it because you end up finding a good couple handfuls of segments that are just like capturing. Particularly for us, it's Luzhou, so we want you to see what life is like Luzhou when you're walking to the grocery store, when you're walking to work. These are the people that live in our neighborhood.
And I would say when I'm in that mode of keeping my eyes out for potential interesting situations, you can't wait till something interesting is happening, because then it's too late to capture it. But if you do see like this is an area that gets a lot of traffic, or I'm in the grocery store parking lot and I can see this traffic jam developing, quick plop down the camera. When I have those eyes on, it's impossible for me to get anywhere, because every 2 seconds I'm like, stop, put the camera up, something's gonna happen, which is really fun, but it is like, that's all I'm doing that day.
If you watch somebody who's a professional videographer by trade or photographer, they've always got their camera like on a gun on their hip, like ready to take a shot at any, or they're already taking shots. They have an eye for like right through their lens at all times. I think a lot of them would probably, if they could get a cyber camera attached right into their eye, they'd be filming everything all day long. So it's kind of hard to like be doing your regular everyday life and go like, oh look at that kid over there, get a shot.
Yeah, because you're just like watching how everything looks, and you're like, are you talking to me? I'm watching this.
My camera's in my purse.
Yeah.
It's not on. The battery's dead. Oh, I'm missing it.
Yeah, and then that's a lot of fun.
So you're a predator.
It does feel like I'm being a creep sometimes. And maybe I am. I'm watching people just live their lives.
Well,
it's for art, though.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting in the sense that you are a writer, and in a way, from a visual standpoint, you're extending that to a visual medium. Of a writer observes everyone around them so that they can create characters, and you are capturing their actual, movements. So
like. Now you have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to journalism school to be a journalist, but people consider journalists creeps because they're all up in everybody's business. And the same with like artists are creeps because they're always watching you and trying to make your story into something.
Yeah.
So remember that. It's not just glamour. You're just sitting around watching people and being creepy.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily. I mean, some people are malicious, I suppose, about it. Like, I'm gonna make a note of what this person did to me, and then I'm gonna write them into a story as like the villain. It's not that doesn't happen.
Well, it's rare that it's like a revenge.
Is it though?
Quoting, but I think far more often people, by accident, write unflatteringly about their friends and family, and their friends and family recognize it.
Yeah.
And the writer themselves might be like, "What are you talking about? Like, that's me!"
Yeah, and a writer's defense oftentimes is like, "I didn't realize that for 25 years.
Yeah.
And I went back and I realized that this was all about my childhood."
Yeah. So we're all creeps is the story. Yeah. But so this kind of like, have your eyes open, have your camera open. That's also how we approached Field Notes, is that we took this walk up a hill and Peter brought the camera. It really was just like, it was a nice sunny Sunday. We didn't have any work to do. And we could have very well stayed home and done laundry and
we had been eyeing that route for a while because it's the end of where our bus stopped at the school in the countryside, and occasionally we took it farther out to go look for little villages and places to eat, and along the way, just past our stop was another stop which wasn't really a stop.
Mm-hmm.
But we would see people get off there and wander down a dirt road or take a motorcycle waiting for them there, and we're like, what happens? What is going on here? So
so we literally went out to see what we could see. And
we had the day off, so maybe
Peter
we'll
brought
get
the
lost.
camera. Yeah, and you can't get lost because there's only one road. Turns out, the Chinese countryside. This still baffles me to this day. Is like, the way it's constructed, there's not like country paths you can wander down. There is the main county road that the government will have paved, and then maybe you and your neighbors got together to make a concrete walkway to your houses, but it doesn't branch off. There's not like, oh, I'll take a left here and then I'll take a right here. Oh, I'm pleasantly lost.
Yeah,
there's only like
streets and blocks and like it's one.
There's the main road and then you're at someone's house.
Yeah, and they've become dirt paths, and they've become paths between small semi-villages and usually with a lot of farmland in between. So like your dirt path. Like that time we went out for Dragon Boat that Patrick took us out, and
we ended up walking through someone's farm.
Yeah, we're just like walking through somebody's, like, literally like past their house and saying hello and petting their ducks and walking through their rice fields, and we're like, should we be here?
Yeah.
And nobody knew that our
we
Chinese friends didn't know how to get home.
We were in a big group of city folk too. That was just like, we don't know where we are.
Oh, a big group of maybe 5 or 10 or something. So it wasn't like we got stuck in some kind of wayward tour group or something.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of us wandered off from the lake trying to find our way home, and we just ended up down dirt paths.
But concrete paths.
Some of them were logs.
That's true. But there's not like a dirt road like you'd ride a bike down.
Yeah, not Andy Griffith.
yeah, it's nothing like that. But so anyway, Peter brought the camera and filmed our ascent and descent. And then, so this style of filming, it's time intensive to film, and then it's pretty time intensive to go through all the footage and extract a story from it.
Yeah, because we weren't even thinking of vlogging it at that point, so we weren't talking or doing stuff to perform in front of the camera. It was just taking it like as if they were moving pictures, as if I was a photographer of, let's just stop and get a shot here and listen to the birds.
And I would say that this maybe fits into like our theory of subtractive sculpture versus additive sculpture. This would be where you subtract the material to find the story within.
Yeah, take as much footage as you can, use as much clay as you can.
Yeah, make that big mountain and then shape it.
Yeah, start peeling away until you actually find where the story is.
Versus much more often now what we do is additive in that, like, well, for Fishment, we had a meal that we accidentally ordered Fishment, so Peter took footage of me eating that, and then there was something later. Oh, the complaint about macaroni and cheese. I talked about macaroni and cheese, so we went out and like, we didn't have to go outside, but it was a nice sunny day, so we wanted to.
And you want to make it interesting. I think this is some of the stuff of like working professionally. If we're working at a newspaper and I need a graphic for something, and maybe you can't find a good shot of it like on iStock or AP Press or something, then you go to the store and you buy a carton of milk and you do your own photography. Or if I need somebody in the street for a photo or something, and it's not like a news story, then you just take one of your coworkers downstairs and say, like, go stand across the street and wave. So you have to be ready to, like, I need a shot, I need something here, I need a graphic, I need something, which goes back to what you were saying with kind of like with B-roll. Sometimes you have to create that on the spot, whether it's a drawing or a graphic or whatever.
Which I guess this is kind of a meandering discussion, but that's the homeschool film school guarantee.
Yeah.
We're going to meander. Because we have a third type that's our library footage, which is sometimes when I'm in the mode of filming, that's when I'm filming. When I'm in the mode of filming, I'll just like film funny things that are happening and we put them up in our library. And Peter, we have it kind of organized. You have it pretty organized.
A little bit, yeah.
And Peter has a good sense of what's where. So if we do, like for example, in last week's giraffe, we talked about popcorn, and I had taken a shot over the summer of some of my students eating popcorn, and so Peter remembered that and slapped that in there.
We've got hundreds and hundreds of hours of things, and it's as best as I can have put it in some kind of order, but it's in my memory of like, she's talking about popcorn. I know she put somewhere footage of some children eating popcorn. That's what we use. Yeah,
and that stuff can really help in terms of like, it would be hard to go stage a shot with kids eating popcorn, and
go find a kid, go find a popcorn.
It's not something that I'm likely to just stumble upon on the street, so that is also helpful to have this library of different images. So I don't know, always bring your camera. But I think this way of working, of like, there is a specific story that we've already decided on ahead of time, and then like what kinds of shots do we need to add on to it. oh, here's stuff in our library, or oh, I know that you walk by the park. Can you go get some footage of the grandmas dancing? It takes a lot less time. And I think, I don't want to say it's more sophisticated, but it's a more structured, usually a more structured piece results from working that way.
I think that's having the experience of working for years and years in an office where that's what you do. Like,
yeah,
we've been trained to be like, where are you going to find your material? So you're always have I think it's part of telling the story, of keeping your eye out, like where am I going to find this story?
Yeah.
And what might I need later?
Well, it was good training. I used to resent this as a writer at the newspaper, that we were not really allowed to have written things without enough imagery, photos to go with it, because people don't read and we need lots of photos. But now, like, making movies, of course there has to be images that go with it. So
yeah, I mean, a big part of what I do is trying to come up with imagery to go with your stories.
yeah.
But it really helps me out if you can say, like, I got an idea for a story. Did you film anything?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the different kinds of footage that we take.
In terms of A, B, and whatever roles.
Yeah, library. And I would say that the first collage-y way of working, we don't. Just because it takes so much time.
Well, a lot
and
of
it is more exploratory, which is like, that's a fun way to work, but that's not the way we're working right now.
that was more out of necessity, because we weren't filming anything to actually put it into an actual narrative.
Right.
So it was like, we have all this stuff laying around, and we've got some cool pictures. What do we do with them? So we just kind of like lined them all up and went, well, this one's a story, and that one's a story.
Well, the videos we took that way were literally us exploring.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now we kind of have, we're not done exploring, but we have some concrete ideas that we'd like to flesh out before we just like go so freeform.
Which is, I mean, a lot of them have fallen through the cracks that we still have the footage laying around, and we have things like Taiwanese pancake or whatever.
Yeah.
That like will pop up every now and then. Like
the workflow killer.
Yeah. when we have folders of stuff of like, if we need a story, there's something laying around.
Well, and that is, I mean.
But we don't really like to work that way because it's not the most efficient, and it's not even the best stories. Sometimes we luck into it with, it's such a good story, like Field Notes.
Yeah.
But the pancake continuously gives us no inspiration, even though we've got good footage of it. But so does everyone else too. Everyone that has any kind of vlog in China has a pancake video, so it's kind of like, what else do we have to say? It's delicious, eat it.
But it is like, so we're probably not going to make the Taiwan street pancake video, but we may make a video that incidentally needs some footage of someone making a Taiwan street pancake, and we have that.
Yeah, or even just some street food or something that makes for nice background stuff.
It's, never throw anything out. I'm sure.
Be a hoarder.
Don Cage said that in his rules for artists, but I'm sure, other people
And then he
said
threw everything out for 433.
Or he threw everything in.
Oh, devoid of color, rainbow.
But let's watch it.
Watch it.
Our Watch It this week is the IFC series Documentary Now, which, if you're not familiar with it, is some Saturday Night Live veterans who love documentaries just get together and make parodies of existing documentaries, which...
And some pretty big Hollywood stars, too.
Oh, yeah. They've got... I mean, I guess Lorne Michaels just knows everybody.
Yeah.
And I think he's a producer on that. But what I like about it is that it is so inessential. Like, why remake... And not even remake, but like, why make a loving recreation of the Pennebaker documentary company about the Stephen Sondheim musical cast recording? But why not? It's so much love for the art is what I think makes it
A lot of it is done
watchable.
In the same kind of spirit as Spinal Tap. Like
I would say they started there, but I think and it's still funny. They're still like
they're
finding the humor in it.
Documentaries, and if you go with Spinal Tap, it's one of the first ones, I guess. I don't know,
but I think they're
but it is done with love,
and it's not quite so. It's funny, but not jokey. I would say, because they really go all in too on the. Like this last one that we just watched, based on the Stephen Sondheim musical cast recording,
Season 3, Episode 3.
Yeah, they recreated like a very 70s feel. The film stock looked aged that way.
The music, the hairstyle.
Yeah, they wrote a whole musical, and it's pure frosting. Like, nobody needs any of this, and they did it anyway, and I love that.
I think it really is, like, for the genre. Because there is, like, just to use Spinal Tap as an example that everyone knows, is when the rock stars sat down to watch it, like, in all the interviews, people for years would ask legitimate rock stars, like, how do they feel about Spinal Tap? And every rock star, Alice Cooper, all of them were like, oh my God, this is really embarrassing because it's not a joke. This is exactly what happens to us every night. We're absolutely fools.
Yeah.
But I think enjoying telling those stories, how funny they are, is where people like, I want to tell this story because it's so much fun.
Well, I think it's the human aspect of, like, we're all nosy. We want to know about other people's lives. But reality TV kind of quickly figured out that real people are boring. And documentary often can be really powerful, but then, like, kind of unsatisfying in the end because real life doesn't end with a narrative button. So I'll admit that some of the documentary now episodes that we've watched are takeoffs of documentaries that I've had in my Netflix queue for, like, years and years and years and years. Like, I always thought I should watch Grey Gardens, and I never ever did. And I didn't even watch the movie version with, what's her name, Drew Barrymore. But I watched the documentary now version, and I feel like it's fine. I got it.
It's a nice half hour.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like my stories nice and neat and wrapped up. And fiction. I like my nonfiction to actually be fiction, I think. Which we've discussed a little bit before with American Vandal. But, like, this season is pretty strong so far of documentary now. The opener was a takeoff of Wild Wild Country, which is about... The actual documentary is about a cult that took over a small Oregon town. And, it, like, people were obsessed with it last summer. And it's just not something I'm ever going to watch. But I really liked the documentary now version of it. It was
like
perfect.
Seeing somebody make fun of it.
Yeah, make fun of it and also love it. And also, like, mine all of the drama from it. And have it wrap up. I mean, it's still pretending to be a documentary, so they still have, like, kind of an ambiguous ending, but it's like a fiction ambiguous ending, so it's still
it's one of the
pretty
neat things,
satisfying.
Going back to being a writer, of watching stuff, of watching people, and trying to figure out what they're going to do next.
Yeah.
And in real life, it's probably something fairly predictable and boring. When you fictionalize that true story and you turn it into, like, yeah, I know they just kind of, like, went back to their old job, but what if they actually became an elephant and flew to the moon? Like, what kind of wild thing can I take this off in a different direction that, like, will make it a little more, like we were saying, like with Law and Order.
Yeah.
Classically, it starts off every episode with, like, ripped from the headlines.
Yeah.
But then you get halfway through and you're like, this isn't how that case went at all.
Right. Well, and that you can tell by the minute, like if we have a suspect in custody but we're only 10 minutes in, that guy didn't do it.
Yeah.
Or if someone got released at that point, that's the guy who did it.
Yeah.
And that Law and Order, if they do have an ambiguous ending, it's like on purpose ambiguous for maximum emotional impact instead of just like real, I mean more than real life, real crime often ends very unsatisfyingly from a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
Just say nothing of the people crime effects.
Yeah. Somebody got something taken away from them, somebody's dead, somebody's in jail, somebody goes back to work, somebody's sad. So, they never recovered the stolen thing, or it turns out we have no idea who's lying about what, so no one really knows at all what happened. Which, thinking about it, that's kind of how Law and Order always ends, but...
But, like, in a way that's, like, climactic rather than anticlimactic.
Yeah, they found a way to give it enough of a twist where it's like, bum, bum.
Yeah.
But in real life, it's just kind of like, then those people went on to live the rest of their lives.
Yeah. Life went on, and there was no bum, bum.
Yeah.
Slowly, the trauma faded from everyone's mind.
Yeah, and everyone forgot about it until somebody picked it up and started telling this documentary.
Yeah, someone made a documentary years later. And the documentary now made a nice, neat, funny version of it. But yeah.
But it's fun. It's the third season now.
Yeah.
And it's just getting underway. So get in there.
Get in there. There was totally another thought I had.
To do with documentaries.
To do with documentaries and Law and Order.
Crimes.
I can't. I'm not gonna think of it.
Don't think of it. That's the crime here.
That's the letdown. That's the letdown of real life.
We just wander away from the story, leaving you hanging.
Oh, this is what I was
gonna say.
Because for this tantalizing project we're not telling you anything about, I've been doing a lot of analysis of story structure, of fiction story structure. And the big thing about the ending of stories is they're supposed to take you back to where you started, but the main character has learned a lesson. So it is like, if they flew away to the moon on an elephant, they'd have to come home and have a new appreciation for elephants or something. It would not end with them living on the moon. Or if it did, it would be like they recreated their old life on the moon. They have to return back home, but changed. That's what we find satisfying in Western culture. Maybe all cultures, but specifically I do know Western culture. Our stories since the beginning of writing down stories end that way. And so that is real life. What's unsatisfying is either people don't learn lessons or their life is just changed and that's it. We rarely find a situation in real life where like we went through something but came back to the beginning richer for the experience. I think more often we just continue to be who we are.
Well, if we go back a few episodes, for Uncle Says about the documentary from the Singapore woman Shirkers.
Yeah.
The arc of the guy that basically kind of drifted from America to Singapore to another place.
Yeah. He like has this really exciting like, who is he? Oh my goodness, he does this. Oh, twist, he's this. Oh, this.
And then he eventually just drifted away, and we have no idea what happened to him, and he finally died.
There's no
somewhere
resolution, and there's no. His wife has nothing to add to the story.
All that's left is a stack of film reels that are unfinished.
And we have no idea why he took them or what. Yeah.
Yeah, so
there's no answers.
There's a good example of like, well, if you're not given the trip back home, then you're just kind of left with like, well, then what was the point?
Yeah, you really feel left hanging.
Which is an existential horror of any kind of story. Why did we even bother waking up?
Yeah. So with that, why did we bother waking up? There's no internet. Noodles to you.